All right, hey everybody, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out as always. So we're back in the Demonastery. I'm sporting my purple because it's time for a Vynnset update. So I've been to 2 ProQuests over the last couple weekends, and I brought Vynnset to both. And I thought I would talk a little bit about my experience, talk a little bit about the deck list that I brought, and talk a little bit about some recent changes I'm considering. So my first ProQuest, I went 2-2. It was a smaller ProQuest, so cut to top 4. My second ProQuest, I went 3-2, 31-person ProQuest, and that one was cut to top 8. 2-2, I actually dropped my first game, unfortunately, in that first ProQuest against Dromai, and it was one of the best Dromai matchups I've had. The first 2/3 of the game, I felt like I had everything under control. Everything was rolling so smoothly. But then as, Dromai's really, really good at pivoting. You just need to give them a little window and they can build up and come back. So that's what happened. I went a couple turns without seeing a popper, and then I wasn't really able to efficiently keep the dragons under control. They spiraled out of control, and I went downhill from there. So I was feeling really, really good about that matchup. I was feeling good about the start to my PQ. And, about 2/3, 3/4 of the way into the game, things turned around, not in my favor, and I ended up dropping that game. So Dromai is one of our tougher matchup anyways, so I was pretty happy with how it turned out anyways. I dropped one more game beyond that one. So 2-2, pretty happy with that result, ended somewhere in the middle of the pack. My second ProQuest, this was a larger one, 31 players, as I mentioned. I lost 2 games. I went 3-2, and both games were into Lexi. So I was paired into 3 different Lexis of my 5 matchups. The other 2 was a Bolton, which was my first game, which was really, really interesting, really, really fun. Big shout out to my opponent. He was great. And it was a really close matchup. I actually gave him opportunity near the end to kind of pivot and swing the momentum in his favor. But his hand didn't really line up. So, I had to take a setup turn essentially, but really close game. I ended up picking it up. Then, Reinar was the other, non-Lexi that I was paired into, and that one went my way as well. I won one of my 3 Lexi matchups. It was also a close one, but I ended up taking it. And the other 2 Lexi matchups, Lexi is Lexi, and she's quite hard to get over sometimes. So, I think with some more favorable pairings, it would have gone quite well. I felt pretty comfortable on the deck. I felt pretty good about the choices I made in the list and the way I was playing it on that day. So overall, I think it was a success. 3-2 is a good result. I came in 12th out of the 31, so a little shy of top 8, unfortunately, but that's okay. Really close games, and I think if things went slightly differently, one more strong turn, I could have clinched it. So anyways, let's take a look together at the list that I ended up bringing to these ProQuests. So this was my Vynnset PQ4 list that I brought to the second ProQuest, and a very, very similar list. I didn't change much between the 2 ProQuests. So I'll talk through some of my choices. I also have, and this experimental list that I'll show after is public on February, so you have easy access to it. And that one I keep up to date, and it's the one that I'm always changing and testing new things. I'm really trying to solve the deck. But this PQ list honestly was quite solid. So a couple notable changes from the last time I updated you guys. I'm back on Scepter of Pain. I do still have Grimoire in the list. This card, I have a hard time dropping it because it does give that extra AB. The Eloquence token is very seldom, you use this for its ability very rarely because the blood debt is a problem. Not being able to clear this slowly killing you. The only time it might be prudent to use this is if you know it's getting close to endgame and you need that one last, strong turn to close the game out, then this could come in, but otherwise you usually end up just sitting on it. I do still have it in the list for AB1. Strong argument to be made that, if you are trying to find a slot, maybe this comes out entirely. I've recently pulled Vexing Quillhand out, so that's, something you could consider as well. So Anyways, rather than that, on my offhand, I now have Scepter of Pain. I think this just comes up more than Grimoire would. So Scepter, you can pay 2 into it to deal 1 arcane. Notably, 2 is a little expensive for that on hit rune chant. That's fine too. But regardless of the cost, you're still going to use this more than Grimoire, and it doesn't pop your rune chants. So if you're trying to build up rune chants for a big turn to try and get over the wall that is Bravo, for example, this can be quite useful. So Scepter of Pain is my default offhand now. Sorry, I should have blown it up for you guys there. So pay 2, deal 1 arcane damage to opposing hero. If it hits, create a rune chant token. Interesting that it says create a rune chant token for each damage dealt this way. Is there a way to pump this? Will there be a way to pump this? I don't know. So Crown of Providence on my head still. Flail of Agony is a good little default. Following a Deathly Wail with Go Again with a Flail can facilitate that second rune chant generation. Tunic, I'm trying to run this at every time I possibly can. That 1 resource every 3 turns ends up representing a free Envelop in Darkness, a free Runeblood Incantation, a free 1 cost. So I try and run Tunic as much as possible. It represents a whole card, basically, that you can give up because you don't need to hold for pitch. This can be enough to get you that extra resource you need for that Envelop in Darkness, or to set up with that Runeblood Incantation. So I try, whenever possible, to run Tunic. There are a couple matchups where Carapace is the correct choice. Lexi's still one I'm struggling with. Do you want the extra ability to get over a couple breakpoints, or do you want the ability to give up an extra card every 3 turns? I don't know which one is correct. I try and run Tunic whenever possible, but Carapace is in the list, if not only for AB2, for times where you feel like you do need that extra block or to get past those extra breakpoints. Grasp is my default hands. As mentioned, my newest list, I've actually taken Vexing Quill Hand out entirely, so this is the only glove piece. I think the extra 3 life, like to help with breakpoints, as mentioned, blocking for 3, then with Battle Worn blocking for 1, is impactful on its own. But the ability, often you're pitching a blue to this in order to make your second rune chant, in order to rune gate out, unstick yourself and get a 2-cost rune gate out. So this is just enough. That's enough of like both of those. This ability plus the extra 3 life, it's enough for this to be the default gloves. Vexing Quill Hand, I was fighting tooth and nail to keep it in the list because I do still think late game, sometimes you miss it, especially into aggro. But, the 3 block and its ability to unstick you just kind of makes up for it. So anyways, this is the only gloves in the list. In this list for PQ, I do still have Vexing Quill Hand here as a second option, but often this is only coming in for that extra arcane barrier. Okay. Spellbound Creepers, just the default feat. You could play around with Mage Master Boots. I think that's kind of interesting. Suede Hides as a budget option as well. But Creepers, there's too much opportunity for shenanigans and too much synergy with some of the non-attacks we're playing in order to facilitate those 2 wide turns, which are really, really important in order to make sure that, you can basically swing the tempo in your favor if you're presenting 20 damage on a turn. So, Creepers. I have my 2 Deathly Delights. Lots of lists run 3. That's totally cool too. I totally understand. You want a good volume of these 2-cost Rune Gate cards so that you can play these out relatively easily. Even just banishing this, holding on to a blue to pitch to Grasp is enough to get you going. But this, as always, is the bread and butter. Deathly Wail, all 9. This is your rune chant engine. So if you can string... Oh, the dream is to string 2 of these in a row. There are lines that allow for that. So Deathly Wail into a second Deathly Wail, but often something like Shadow Puppetry or Envelop in Darkness or Funeral Moon, a Shadow non-attack, plus this, plus a 2-cost Rune Gate attack, either in Banished that you've banked, or that you can get in there. I'll give you one scenario where you can get it after the fact, or banish it after the fact, but That combination can allow you to go 2 wide fairly easily. The easiest one is Shadow Puppetry. Choose to lose the life. That gives Deathly Wail +1 and go again. And it will guarantee, because you've lost a life, it makes your first rune chant ability unpreventable. So it guarantees 2 rune chants when you close the chain off of Deathly Wail. You can follow that up. It has go again from Shadow Puppetry with either a 2-cost rune gate that you hit off the top, one that you've banked, or there is also Shadow Averser has outperformed. My newest list has 3 of them. This list have 2 of them. Because another line you can do is Shadow Puppetry, Deathly Wail, Shadow of Urser, not breaking the chain, playing Shadow of Urser, banishing a 2-cost rune gate from your hand to give it go again. So that gets your 2-cost rune gate in your hand, in your banish. Break the chain, which makes your 2 rune chants off of Deathly Wail. Then you can come in with the 2-cost rune chain. So you're able to go 3 wide with that card. I really like Shadow Averser. I think it really overperforms. And worst case scenario, it's a blue that blocks for 3. It costs 0, so you can banish it. It has everything going for it. I really, really like Shadow Averser. And I would highly suggest you at least try 2, if not 3. I'm on 3 now. If you don't have Shadow Puppetry to give go again, you can also achieve the same thing with like Creepers and Envelop in Darkness. So before you close the chain on Deathly Wail, you can let it resolve. It doesn't really matter. You can Creepers in something like Envelop in Darkness, take the damage in order to create basically 3 rune chants when you close the chain that you could follow up with a banked rune gate card that you have, or, you know, some other sneaky shenanigans. I was still on 3 Funeral Moon in this list. I've gone down to 2. Funeral Moon is impactful. There's several different ways you either play it on your opponent's turn when you've taken damage, or to get to that critical mass of rune chants, or you can play it on your turn. It's a great follow-up to Wail if your opponent has taken damage. You can play Funeral Moon, or you can play Funeral Moon in response to push that damage. Anyways, it usually results in 3 rune chants after a Deathly Wail. It makes 1 itself, and you can lose the life to it if you want. It's a shadow non-attack action in order to make that 2nd rune chant. And then if your opponent has taken damage, which likely they have, it's a 3rd rune chant. So Funeral Moon's good. I would suggest at least 2 or 3 of them. Red Mob Skies is in the main board. Okay, the main 51. Great card. I am still running a couple pummels in the sideboard, 2 pummels. So if you Mauve Skies and then present something, they're going to want to block it out, because on hit, Mauve Skies will make you 3 rune chants, and that's very scary sitting across from a Vynnset. So this presents on its own an attack that your opponent cannot ignore. But if you follow it up with a pummel that they're not expecting, you guarantee that hit, those 3 rune chants, they discard a card, and it's very, very devastating. You can sometimes follow that up with another Deathly Wail, or whatever banked rune gate card you have. Runeblood Incantation, I'm still on 3. A lot of people in the Vynnset Discord and in the Vynnset community are playing around with 2 of these now, which I understand that choice. Runeblood Incantation's great early game for setup, but the second half of the game, you don't usually want to see this, because you're sort of in that often blocking game plan, where you're giving them a couple cards and just trying to be efficient and present one of those rune gate cards per turn, or rune gate attacks per turn. So Runeblood Incantation becomes less attractive, less impactful late game, and so just running 2 of them can help to alleviate some of that. So I totally understand that. If you're looking for a slot, you could try to go down to 2 Runeblood Incantations. I'm still on 3. I do really like that setup. Shadow Puppetry, as mentioned, facilitates some really, really cool lines with Deathly Wail specifically, allowing you to go 2 wide, all this kind of stuff. Allowing you to dig sometimes with that on hit for a nice rune gate card that you can banish. Phantom Wraith, again, just for that critical mass of 2-cost rune gate cards. I run this in red and blue. Again, mostly it's a vanilla rune gate card, but it costs 2, which is great. All of the widespreads, of course. Widespread Ruin banishes from top of deck when you close the chain. Widespread Destruction banishes from Arsenal when you close the chain. Widespread Annihilation from hand. So the rest of the blues in the main board here are kind of flex slots, but I am pretty settled on Shadow Averser at this point. Again, as mentioned, my new list runs 3. Just for the reason that I explained, okay? So it's a 0 cost that you can banish, play from banish. It's good like that. It can also allow you to get that extra Runegate card in your banish when you need it, etc. Spellblade Assault is a great setup card. Creates 2 Runechant tokens, but again, it's a blue that blocks for 3, so it's really good for that reason alone. In terms of the sideboard here for my ProQuest list, I'm on Down and Dirty now, which is really, really good. I felt like I needed a little bit more support into Dromai, and Down and Dirty feels very, very impactful into Dromai. I was playing around with the idea of running, I was trying to, I had Command and Conquer in the sideboard for that reason, to get more 6 blocks. Well, this is a 6 block that you can just throw in your arsenal and forget about it. And it's nice. It's a nice little security blanket that keeps you warm on your opponent's turn. When you have this in your arsenal, you don't really need to think about holding one back in your hand, all this kind of stuff. So I really like it, and maybe it goes to 3, especially. I'm going to talk more about my Vynnset choices when Lexi rotates out. But when Lexi rotates out, which is happening soon, I believe that Dromai might make, that we might see a larger proportion of Dromais in the meta. So if that's the case, probably a 3rd Down and Dirty coming into the list. A lot of Vynnset players are off Pummel entirely. I do still think it's very impactful, and even just threatening the Pummel is really good. So I'm still on 2 Pummel. And really, really nice on the Mauve Skies attacks as well. I'll talk more about, the differences between my new list, and I'll come back to Pummel in a minute. But anyways, red Putrid Stirrings for Bravo and for Azuri, potentially for Fatigue, essentially when you need to be getting over a lot of blockability. If you're up against a hero where they're trying to fatigue you, they're blocking out most of what you're presenting, red Putrid Stirring comes in really, really clutch. Read the Ruins. I'm down to 2 Read the Ruins, and I've taken out Oblivion for that reason as well. You probably only want to run Oblivion if you're running all 3 Read the Ruins. So 2 Read the Ruins now. Really good setup turn, but it's similar to Runeblood Incantation in that you don't always want to see this. And even less so, I think, than Runeblood Incantation, in my opinion. So I'm down to 2, and that feels about right to me. Reduced to Runechant, I'm still on 3. It's too good. Often costs 0 if you have a banked Runechant. So 0 for 5 value, essentially a block 4 that also makes your Runechant plays to our strategy. So, sorry, I should have blown up Read the Runes, but we all know what that does by now. Create 3 Runechants. So down to 2 there. All 3 red reduce. 3 Sink Blows in this PQ list. Again, nice to have these defense reactions when you're trying to get over breakpoints against Lexi and other heroes that present very scary on hits that you can't ignore. Still playing around with Burdens of the Past, but honestly, I haven't had a chance. I wasn't paired into any Bravos at my PQs, so I can't really tell you how this went. But I do, in theory, I think it can be impactful. I dream about creepersing in this card somehow to thwart my opponent from playing that, extra defense reaction, or, turning my Pummel off or responding to my Pummel or something like that. So I think Burdens of the Past, it is also an extra blue for Icelander. So I do still think that it's worth testing. So it's still in the list. Okay, that's about it. Carapace I talked about. Ebonfold here for Spell Void 2, basically exclusively. Really, really hard to get around this if you are in a wizard going up against Vynnset. So Kano is basically an auto win. I've never lost against a Kano. Icelander's a more difficult matchup, but this does a lot of heavy lifting in that matchup. Grimoire for extra Arcane Barrier, Nebula Blade as a Dragon Swatter into Dromai, and this is a great piece of Dromai tech. And Quillhan still in the list. So, I know this has already been a long discussion, but I want to show you my newest version of the list that I'm playing with recently, and I'll just focus on the differences. So down to 2 Funeral Moons in order to make room, still 51 core cards. So essentially, the only difference in the main board is I took out 1 Funeral Moon in exchange for 1 more Shadow Averser. This brings us to 18 blues main board, which feels like a good number. And Shadow Averser, as mentioned, outperformed based on my expectations. So I'm on 3 Shadow Averser now, down to 2 Funeral Moon. I might go back up to 3 Funeral Moon, but I'm trying this out because, again, I don't think Funeral Moon, even though it is quite versatile, I don't think it's impactful all of the time. So anyways, we're trying that out. Also very, very similar sideboard. Some pretty significant differences. So Vexing Quillhand is completely out of the list in order to make room for other stuff. Still on 2 down and dirties, but I might find room for a 3rd. 2 pummels in the list. And the pummels become even more impactful because I've brought yellow Mob Skies back in. This was out of my PQ list, but this is really impactful into Dromai. You really want the Mob Skies into Dromai, which is one of our more challenging matchups, because Mob Skies to give something go again into a dragon guarantees those rune chants that you can then use to follow up with a rune gate card. So 2 yellow mobs back in specifically to strengthen our matchup against Dromai, but that also further strengthens our pummel game plan. You could go down to 1 pummel easily, or you could take the pummels out. Honestly, I just like them. I think they're a lot of fun. I think they can be very impactful. Nothing changed in terms of Putrid Stirring. Still running 2 Read the Runes for now, 3 Reduced to Rune Chants. A lot of people are coming back to Revel in Runeblood, so I decided to put 1. This can be very impactful. Like, imagine the line, something with give something go again. So either Mob Skies or Shadow Puppetry into a Rune Gate card. You could Shadow Averser Widespread Annihilation in, or be sitting on a Widespread Annihilation. You probably don't want to, sit on this unless you know you have the Revel. But anyways, the idea is you have this in your Banner Stone somehow. Maybe you can put it in there from Shadow Averser. Follow it up with Revel in Runeblood. Make 4 Rune Chants, and then you can follow up with Widespread Annihilation. Or any, it feels a little bit worse with Deathly Wail because your rune chants do get destroyed at the end of turn, but the dream is to end on Widespread Annihilation. How impactful is that? Very. So I have 1 Revel in Runeblood, playing around with that in my experimental list here. Down to 2 Sink Belows. So I do still think that the defense reactions are impactful into some matchups like Lexi, but also I'm trying to lean a little more aggro with these re-additions. So Revel in Runeblood plus Mob Skies are a little more aggro leaning. So I cut 1 of the Sink Belows. I still have 5 defense reactions that I can side in if I want to be a little more defensive or increase my defensive capability. So this is a little bit more of a balanced sideboard that allows me to lean a little more aggro, lean a little bit less defensive. But anyways, Burdens of the Past, I'm down to 2 because essentially it hasn't been that impactful. But if Bravo becomes more prevalent in the meta once Lexi leaves us, then I would consider going back up to 3 Burdens of the Past if this card proves useful. But you're fine kind of pitching these early, and then hopefully they come back around later on, because late game this might be what clinches it for you. Okay, so that's it really with the new list. If you want to keep up with my newest additions, testing, musings on Vynnset, follow this list, Vynnset Testing Experimental on Fabrary, so you can find it by just looking at the public lists. If you sort by lists that have associated videos, I'm constantly updating this one, so it's usually near the top because I'm a little obsessed. But anyways, thank you for watching the deck tech portion of this video. We are going to jump on Talishar and get some rounds in. So please stick around. I'll talk through some of my decisions here. All right, we got a Levia. Very interesting. This can be a pretty difficult matchup, actually, if they know what they're doing. I think we're okay blocking, but I think early game we really want to put some pressure on. So I'm going to kind of side in a lot of my offensive pieces. Maybe 1 Read the Runes for setup. My 3 Runeblood. This feels about right to me. Let's see how it goes. I'm just going to go with the default loadout here with Flail and Scepter and our default equipment pieces. Starting off with a pulping. So our opponent is trying to pulp us. Will this have Dominate? It does. So they banished an Endless Maw. So I don't know if I want to give them equipment this early. I'm really happy just, yeah, making a rune chant taking 2, I guess. So we're going to move to reactions. And we're going to, I think I'll pitch this Deathly Wail because I probably want to start to pressure pretty early. So I might banish this Phantom Wraith and present it right away. Not sure if that was correct. We could have also played Deathly Wail from hand, but that's okay. Yeah, especially drawing into the Envelop in Darkness, Deathly Wail would be quite nice here. But anyways, we're going to be banishing this Phantom Wraith. We could go Mauve Skies Wraith, but they're probably just going to block this out. I think I'm actually going to go Envelop in Darkness, pitching the Mauve Skies. We don't need to pay for this. We don't really, Phantom Wraith doesn't have any on hits. And present the Wraith for a pretty significant amount of damage. They're going to take the 3 right away because they're not running any AB. And 9, which they have to deal with, so they're likely going to take a little more damage here. And then we still get to bank this Reduce. It's a little more awkward when we don't have a banked Rune Chant, but something we don't mind sitting on. So they're going to take an additional... Nope, they're going to do a defense reaction here. Sink below. And take 2. Great. And we're going to pass Arsenling this Reduce. Okay, so our next turn is probably going to be a setup turn. We don't have any blues to play something out from hand. I'm kind of actually happy pitching to this Reduce since we have a bunch of cards we're not going to do anything with. So I'm going to move to reactions. I'm going to Reduce pitching one of these Deathly Wails. Making a Rune Chant and blocking that out. They're going to present another 6. I think I'm good giving them the Deathly because we can still, even just with the Widespread Ruin, present 2 and 6 on our turn. I'm happy to just bank the Mauve Skies. I don't think it's worth blocking with it. So I'll give them the Whale. It's unfortunate that we didn't see those at a better time. We'll banish the Widespread Ruin and present that for 2 and 6. And then we're just going to sit on this Mauve Skies here. So it looks like they're going to take another 3 here down to 30. We are going to end and bank this Mauve Skies. So we have Phantom Wraith, and next turn we're going to have our Tunic resource up, which gives us a free Envelop in Darkness. So we can essentially give them these 2 cards. We don't really care about that. They're presenting us with a Swing Big. I don't think the Mauve Skies is going to be overly impactful here next turn, so I think we're good just giving them... Unless I'm missing something. I think we're good just giving them this. And I don't really care to give them equipment on this. The Quick End token is not that impactful for us. So I'm happy just taking 3 here. And we are going to banish this Phantom Wraith, use our Tunic resource to play out this Envelop in Darkness. Don't care to pay. And coming in for another 10, which is pretty good. A 2-card hand. We're going to continue to sit on the Mauve Skies because they don't mind blocking. They might want to block this 6 out anyways. Or sorry, 8, yeah, with Envelop in Darkness. So blocking 4, they probably have a reaction for us here. Oh, they're going to take the 4 and start with a 5-card hand, which is a bit scary. Do they have Blood Rush Bellow, I wonder? Art of War. Okay, yep. Interesting. So just looking forward to our turn, even just Widespread Ruin. I don't think we have enough to get up to 3 here. It'd be a lot more challenging to get up 3, but Widespread Ruin plus Envelop in Darkness. I wonder if we just crown away our Mauve Skies. We're happy just giving them one of these, I think. So I'm going to take the initial 6 and just see what they present next, because this is definitely going to be followed up with something else. Claw. So we'll give them Destruction for Claw, I believe. Claw. We need to hold something back in order to have the pitch for this. So I think we'll take Claw and see what they give us last. Another big attack, yeah. So I think just to preserve life, we can give them Deathly Wail and crown away Mauve Skies into something we can pitch for Envelop. Another Envelop, for example. And then we'll still present them another 11. So just playing out the Envelop. Again, I don't really care to, like, they are going to have to banish. I don't know if we really care to banish from the top of our deck here. Maybe to get a banked Rune Gate card, but 2 and 9 is kind of good enough to keep the pressure on here. They do still have Husk that they're going to have to give us eventually. Maybe here. They're probably looking to transform into Levia Consumed. So they're very cognizant of their life total. Maybe they want to get down to that. Like here, if they take 6 down to 14, they're getting themselves closer to that goal, maybe. I don't know. I don't play Levia, so I'm not really sure what they're trying to do. Okay, taking 5 down to 15. Not really sure about Husk or Levia Consumed and what the game plan is. We got an Art of War off the top from them. They're going to present Command and Conquer, take 4 damage to transform and lose Husk. I am confused. So I really want to banish this Deathly Wail. If I banish Deathly Wail, Phantom Wraith to get to 2 rune chance off of Grasp, and Envelop. Do we just take this? We might get greedy here. Let's get greedy. We need to get some setup turns. So we're going to take a bit of damage here. Command and Conquer doesn't really present anything that we're scared of. So they transform at the start of your turn. I see. So they're just going to defend with Husk this turn. I got it. So I'm going to banish this Deathly Wail. I'm going to pitch this Blue Phantom Wraith to get to 2 rune chance. I'm going to play out Envelop in Darkness to get to 3 rune chance, and absolutely I'm going to pay. So this will be for 3 and 8. They will give us Husk. They will take 3 though, which is nice. And we will end on 2 rune chance no matter what, which we are very happy about. Because we are, when they flip, they start to become slightly scarier, and they're usually presenting 1 additional attack per turn. I know that much. So next turn we're also going to have Tunic Resource, which is fun. They're going to choose to not take another 2 here. Oh, no, they're going to sink. That makes sense. Good. Still a little worried about Blood Rush Bellow, but no matter what, when they're in this consumed mode here, you know, the fact that they're banishing their deck doesn't often really matter. But, you know, them presenting an additional attack every turn is quite impactful, so. Alrighty, that's it. We end on 2 rune chance, which we're very happy with. I love to see this. I wish we had Shadow Averser here. But even just Deathly Wail, Shadow Puppetry, we could play Phantom Wraith out from hand following that, but we are going to have to do some blocking here. So this is their first attack. They're probably going to present something else to follow this up with, so I'm happy with just Deathly Wail, Shadow Puppetry, like holding those back, so I can kind of give them... I'll give them Destruction here. We'll hold Wrath... Well, maybe I should have given them... I don't know. Probably going to give them both. I'm probably going to give them Wrath and Grasp here, potentially, to preserve some life total. Go down to 9. Because this is a big attack. Yep. Let's do that. We're going to banish Deathly Wail. We're going to go Shadow Puppetry. We are going to take it every time with Deathly Wail. This will come in for 3 and 6. They will go to 7. And we will once again end on 2 Rune Chants, which we're quite happy about. I could have chosen not, because they don't have AB. Yeah, maybe that was the call. I could have chosen not to take the damage there and just followed this up with Flail, which still gives us our 3 and presents them with another on hit that they need to deal with. The only difference is, so it's 1 point of health. So if I do choose to follow this up with Flail, I will be 1 point of life lower than I could have been to achieve the same thing. But I think at this point, like, we are happy just blocking out and whittling them down with Arcane. They are basically looking to try and keep as many cards in hand as possible so that they can continue to push damage, which is going to force cards from us. I don't care to banish Rune Blood Incantation. And so we're seeing that late game. We'll see if it is punishing. I think I'm happy. It kind of sucks going down to 7. I should have thought of this earlier. But Flail does give them another on hit that they might want to consider. They're going to give it to us. So we'll end on 3 Rune Chants. Ooh, Bloodrush Bellow. So we just got to hope that they don't draw into anything crazy. We have a lot of 2 blocks in hand, which is a problem. These are cards... These are 3 cards we don't want to see at the end of the game, which we now see. So this is the reason that I think people are now running 2 of Rune Blood Incantation, but Pummel and Read the Runes are both 2 ofs for me. So sometimes it just be like that, you know? So my thoughts right now is we have 3 Rune Chants banked. They have no AB. We need to make 2 more Rune Chants in order to win the game. So even just a Banish plus a... like, I could Creepers in Read the Runes, but we can't, like... I would have to block with this, and we would have to preserve some life. So I don't really know at this point what this turn is going to look like. No matter what on our next turn, we are just going to swing with Flail. So we're trying to build up another Rune Chant. So maybe Creepersing in Read the Runes, if we can survive this turn, is the call. So I'm just going to give them Spellblade Assault here, go to 4, and see what they present next. Because I could Creepers in Read the Runes, and as long as we're on 2 life and not 1, we can clench it. Ooh, Bloodrush Bellow, those claws hurt, eh? So even if they just go Claw, I still have to give them... I can only take 2 more damage, which is a problem. This hand might have just killed us, honestly. I can Creepers using the Tunic Resource. I think I give them these. Pass. And then I'll just do this now. So let's use the Tunic Resource to activate Creepers. We're going to show them that our shields are down. We're going to Creepers in or Read the Runes, because this is our only out. Now we have 6 Rune Chants. And this is where it becomes an issue. If I give them all of my equipment, I take 2 down to 1. Yeah. Well, we're going to try it. We don't really have another option. Yeah, good game. There's no way we would have been able to cover all this up anyways. So GG's. That was a rough last hand, unfortunately. So that is what you risk, essentially, when you decide to run some of those high impact cards early game. So read the runes, pummels, those types of things. If you want a really consistent Vynnset build, then you strongly consider pulling some of those out. But I think it's fun to lean a little bit aggro. So I do still appreciate those pieces enough to leave them in. But that's the payoff, right? Or that's not the payoff. That's the punish sometimes for running those pieces. So keep that in mind for sure. I think that was a good demonstration of that, actually. Now we have Lexi. So this is going to be interesting. We're going to go first. We're going to side in all of our defense reactions to help with those breakpoints. I'm going to be a smart boy and try Carapace to, again, help with those breakpoints. Lexi doesn't give us much opportunity for setup, so I tend to lean more, like they don't want to block, so I like the pummels. Revel could be fun, and a Mauve could be fun, or maybe just the 2 Mauves and no Revel. Let's do 1 Mauve, 1 Revel, and see what happens. So this is probably just going to be a setup turn. However, maybe not. Maybe I should present, because they always just Voltaire something in. But are they going to Voltaire either way? I don't know. So maybe I want widespread in Banish. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get a widespread in Banish. I'm then going to proceed to pass the turn. They're going to Voltaire, and if they get greedy, we could Deathly Wail from hand. Let's try that. So they activate Voltaire. Are they going to Voltaire twice is my question. That could be nice. They're going to Voltaire in an Endless Arrow. We are going to present a Deathly Wail for 1 and 6. I mean, they're probably going to cover this up. They do have AB1. Cover up the Rune Chant. They could give us their 2 remaining cards, but we don't know what they have. They could be looking to hold on to those. We got a red Infecting Shot from them. That's a win. Oh, we got equipment from them. And actually, Hornet Sting is actually great. I love to see this. If they hit an arrow, they did not. So I actually love when they deal us damage on Hornet Sting because it gives us our Rune Chant. So they covered it up, which is not the end of the world. We got some impactful pieces from them on turn 0, which I think is a big win. We don't get to end on any Rune Chants, which hurts a little bit, but I think that was pretty fun. On our turn, we can banish a Phantom Wraith. We can play the Runeblood Incantation out. Depends on what we have to block here, but because we're definitely going to cover up this Endless Arrow when they present it. Icequake from hand, +3 Frostbite on hit. Sure. So Hamstring Shot into Endless Arrow. This only pumps the next one, right? Yeah, +3. So can we reliably cover this up? I mean, yes, but it kind of hurts us. Yeah, let's do it. I think it's worthwhile. The tax actually does hurt us, so I think we're going to block this entirely. I don't want the frost. I don't want to deal with the frostbite. And it's worthwhile covering up the Endless Arrow as well. So I think we want a banish. I think I'm just going to give them equipment. It sucks that we have to give them equipment this early, but... and I'm going to crown away the old Widespread Destruction. The other play would have been give them Runeblood Incantation plus Carapace, and then banish the Runeblood Incantation. Or, sorry. No, that doesn't work. I don't know. Okay, anyways, we're happy with this. We have Funeral Moon. We have Widespread Ruin. We haven't taken any damage. We can't play the Funeral Moon out now, but we can banish it. It's a good banish target. Runeblood Incantation also doesn't... It feels better when you're running Tunic, because we're going to be sitting on this in Arsenal, and we have to wait for when we have additional pitch, which could be fine, but it could feel a little bit bad. We'll see. So we're going to banish this Funeral Moon, and then we're going to activate Grasp to give us our second rune chant to play out the Widespread Ruin. If they choose to take any damage, we also end on a rune chant, which is nice. So Funeral Moon, hate to admit it, but it can be nice. Banish Funeral Moon. Activate Grasp. Present 2 and 6. So they're going to take the rune chants, which means we are going to follow this up with Funeral Moon no matter what. We're going to stuff this rune Blood Incantation in Arsenal, and hopefully we won't have to sit on it too long. We'll have to wait till we have additional resources. Great. Hey, let's play it. At instant speeds. Do we want to banish something? It'd be kind of nice to ban it to bank a Runegate card. Nah. Don't think it's worth the damage to roll that dice. Okay, so we end on a rune chant, which we're happy with. They do not have... They lost a Heatseeker off the top, which is a win as well. Not sure which one would be our top card, but either way, this one and this one, didn't want to see that. So our only banished target here is a Shadow Averser. This could just be a setup turn. We can't pummel Shadow Averser, obviously, so we might just play out Runeblood Incantation, maybe shove something like Pummel in Arsenal. In order to play it out, we need to have pitch, though. Are we just... We're relying way too much on our equipment early, which is not feeling great. Too many 2-blocks. So again, this is the price you pay for trying to lean a little bit aggro. Your hands do need to line up for you to have impactful turns, and sometimes you just draw into these like 2-block hands. But I think it is important to cover up that Endless Arrow either way. Pitching an infecting shot to load another Endless Arrow. Oh, I miss Tunic. Tunic would allow us to set up with Runeblood Incantation. Here, like, I feel like we need to, we can't block this. Oh, they're just going to sit on it, so that's kind of nice. So that allows us to do what we want to do. So we're going to Shadow Averser. I'm going to Runeblood Incantation pitching Mauve Skies. And the question is, do we want to... Like, we're at 39. We can try and set up. I'm afraid they're going to present some, like, taxing stuff. But, like, presenting 2 and 2 here doesn't feel that great. So I think I'm just going to pass and call this a setup turn, shove Pummel and Arsenal, and hope we draw into something spicy. Because then we could really start to push damage. Arsenal. Pretty good. Pretty good. So with the blue, I can play Envelop in Darkness and Pummel. We don't have a second Runegate card, unfortunately. It would be really spicy if this was a second Runegate card, because we could do some really crazy shenanigans. Battering bolt, what does this do again? When it hits, they reveal their hand. Nope. Don't like that. Don't like that at all. Well, we might have to take some more time, but even if we just sit on Deathly Wail and only present Deathly Wail, it's still fine. It's unfortunate, because I can't just... If I give them Funeral Moon and only Creepers, it's not going to be enough. So I have to give them maybe Funeral Moon, Envelop, and Creepers, which doesn't feel good. So I think I'm going to give them both of these and just continue to sit on the pummel. They might have a Rain Razors here, and then all of our decisions... Nope, we're good. What else you got? Voltaire. Drill Shot. Sure. Drill Shot. With Go again. Endless Arrow after this. Endless Arrow is going to hit. It's not worth blocking 3 of this 4. They can put a -1 counter on Creepers. It's fine. Creepers is probably more impactful. Sitting on it, they get their Endless Arrow back too, which is fine. And they're going to Arsenal it? Yes. Banish Deathly Wail. Present Deathly Wail. So we're still hitting them back for 10, 4, and 6. Presenting potentially a Rune Chant if they decide to take any. 4 Rune Chants are very, very difficult to take care of. Demands 2 cards, essentially, or a card, a blue, and their arsenal here with Trench. So that's pretty good. I don't mind sitting on Envelop because a blue represents Envelop plus Pummel. And we have Shadow Averser that can do shenanigans. Taking all of the Rune Chants. We like to see it. Giving us a card. Taking another 3 down to 20. Nope. Tar Pit trapping us. It's fine. That's fine. So we end the turn on a Rune Chant, which turns our Reduce on. So we're finally seeing some of our defense reactions to thwart some of their plans. I hope they draw into hot garbage, but they probably won't because they are Lexi. So they'll go 3, potentially 4 arrows wide. No, 3 arrows wide no matter what. Unless... We're not going to speak that into existence. Codex of Frailty. Yeah, but they can't load it. That's fine. Bolt and Shot. They can't reload, so the reload is sort of irrelevant here. So we don't really care to cover this up. I didn't even look at my hand. So I don't really have a good... Oh, this is not very good. So we're going to give them a bunch of cards anyways. We don't have a good banish target. So we're probably just going to swing in with Shadow. I don't really want to sit on that any further. So we're going to give them, like, our hand. I'm just going to pass. I'm going to sink below and see if we can fix our hand a little bit. I think here I'm going to sink the red envelop because I'm happier to sit on the blue, which could help us play this pummel out. Yep, very nice. So widespread, we can play this out because this is a Rune Chant, this represents a Rune Chant, and this represents a Rune Chant, bringing us to 4. So we'll pass for now. We're going to be playing out this Reduce, so we could pummel this widespread Annihilation, which is pretty good. Pass. Cover that up. Yep, that's fine. Well, we'll just let that resolve first. Then we will react. You do not get your Endless Arrow back. Good sir. I hope you have no more arrows in your hand and you were really banking on this hitting. Probably not the case, but who knows. Good. They will probably load another arrow. Ooh, they're digging for arrows. That's a good sign. Ooh, they hit a good one, though. That's fine. We take that every day because we're not giving them any more cards. Go to 23. This will only slightly ouch us. It will ouch us once. This is going to be a pretty impactful turn. So we're going to banish this Widespread Annihilation. We're going to present the Widespread Annihilation. And then we're going to pummel the hell out of it. So 4 and 6, another 10. 14 with Pummel, threatening to take a card from their hand. So we're doing pretty good here, keeping life parity, and considering the awkward hands we've saw, I feel pretty good about this so far. We definitely need to turn it around. Shadow Averser needs to do something for us. Don't think this is a reflection of this card. We've just had some awkward hands. All right, 6. You gonna block any of it? Okay, I'm a Pummel. 10. Do you have like 3 defense reactions? So this represents 2 cards from hand, because they're going to discard from Pummel, and they're going to banish a card from hand on Widespread Annihilation. That feels pretty good for us. I think the game plan is to, I mean, with the Pummel, it wouldn't have mattered, but when we break the chain, they're going to have to give us another card from hand. So they're going to have a 3-card hand. Well, essentially 2-card hand plus arsenal, 3 cards, but we still have 1 activation off of Ruined Incantation, which feels great. They're going to have a not so impactful turn, so we can sort of hope we draw into some fire here and keep the pressure on. They're going to banish a Bolton shot for us. Yeah. Rainrazor's 3 of a Kind is a pretty good combination of cards when you don't have very many cards. But let's hope that they, you know, they can kind of have less than optimal hands when they draw from 3 of a Kind. But this could be pretty scary. Pitching a second Rainrazor's to load. Drill shot. Blue. We're happy to see that. This is only coming in for 4? Yeah. So, on our turn, we're going to banish this Widespread Destruction, I think. Unless we want to go Shadow Averser, Shadow Averser. We could go Shadow Averser, Shadow Averser. We got to keep everything, though. Well, you know what? We don't really care about 4. We don't really care about this on hit. They can add another counter to one of our things. That's fine. So I'm kind of curious to see what they have for, okay, Searing Shot, blue. So 6 go to 11. So my thought here is banish Shadow Averser. I can play out Shadow Averser, give it go again with Widespread Destruction. Break the chain, play out Mauve Sky's Shadow Averser. If they decide to take that, we follow it up with Widespread Destruction. So it basically presents an on-hit they can't ignore in Shadow Averser. And then I'm not sure, like, this envelop is kind of just there. The alternative is to just banish Widespread Destruction and then play out the envelop. And that's probably better. So Shadow Averser, Widespread, threatening Widespread, or just Widespread. We're just going to pass. Take 6. That was a tough one, though. I don't know. Don't know what's correct here. I think it might just be enough to present Mauve Skies plus 7. There are potentially creepers shenanigans here too, so no reactions. I think we're just going to banish the Widespread. We're then going to play out the envelop. I think this is just the call. We don't care to take the damage in this case because they don't have an arsenal. We are going to play out the Mauve Skies to make things extra awkward for them. Either way, we can follow this up with either Flail, Scepter, or Urser. So we're going to present this first. It's going to have Go Again, 3 and 7 that they have to cover up unless they want to give us 3 rune chance. And then we follow that up with Scepter, probably either Scepter if they block, or Shadow Averser if they don't. And we want to continue to push, or we can roll those 3 rune chants. I'm dreaming at this point that they let it hit. They do still have equipment block here as well, so we'll see what they do. So in this matchup, Shadow Averser did underperform. It didn't quite line up, so things do need to line up for Shadow Averser, but again, just being a blue is maybe enough to justify running at least 2, as I mentioned. Let's see. Taking it to 4, we present another 5. I'm just going to force them to block. Not sure what they're thinking there. Now they have to give us 2 cards. Or at least 1, but then they're going very, very dangerously low. They can't block with this because they're going to lose their arcane barrier. I'm not sure what the reasoning for not blocking any of that is, but here we are. I'm not complaining. So I'm wondering now, like, they're going to block out these rune chants, obviously. I'm wondering if they're going to give us New Horizon, or are they going to give us a card from hand? Or are they going to go to 2? That seems really dangerous. They're going to go to 2. Alrighty, we're at 11. I think at this point we just hold on to our butts and try and grind it out from here. Everything we present them is going to be something they need to respect. We could keep this whole hand. We kind of want to keep this whole hand, but I don't think they're going to give us a chance to do that. Bolt and Shot is relevant, especially if this is a 1 cost. I presume it's a 0, because they'll probably just Voltaire this in regardless. It'll be a punish if... or it's... have we seen any... We haven't seen Codex yet. It could be a Codex. Which also doesn't really matter if this hits. So I'm going to go with Preserving Life Total. I'm going to block this out. At the off chance that this is a 1 cost arrow, this actually does hurt them. My hunch is that it is a Codex. But we will see. Because I think just preserving life and presenting real little annoying things is fine. It would have been a big... would have been quite challenging to... So it's a drill shot. So it was a 0 cost. It didn't matter either way. My initial hunch was correct. So 5. I kind of want to banish the Deathly here to sit on, do I? I think I'm going to give them the Deathly and banish the Spellblade Assault and then just present Flail. Let's do that. I don't know if this is correct. I'm going to take 2 here. The drill shot on hit doesn't matter. Going to go to 9. Going to banish this, present them with 1 and 1, which when they're at 2 is very annoying. So we're still going to pull cards from their hand. They can't give us Trench. So that might actually demand 2 cards unless they want to go to 1, which is very dangerous against Vynnset. So we're going to present them 1 and 1 with an on hit. See if they want to go to 1 and risk it. Then we just have to delay until we draw into a Shadow non-attack and push that unblockable. We shall see. I think Preserving Life Total is the name of the game at this point. And being annoying, pulling cards from their hand. So what are they going to do with this Rune Chant? Pitch a Command and Conquer for it. Great. And are you going to let this hit? Probably not. Going to give us Drill Shot. So they have 2 cards in hand. Lexi can still do scary things with 2 cards in hand. How many 3-of-a-kinds have we seen? We've seen 2 of them. We drew into some of our reactions and then some other awkward